Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to crumble!
I'm Joshua Kemble, and welcome to Joshua Kemble's Livestream. I've been a freelance illustrator and graphic designer for over 20 years. I was an art director for 9 years. And when I'm not art directing and working on illustrations and graphic designs, I'm working on comic books and graphic novels, and that's usually what I do during my streams. And while conversations can go all over the place on this stream, from spicy and entertaining to goofy and silly, one thing stays consistent throughout every stream. I'll always be working on art. So pull up a chair, get your art supplies out, and get ready for an entertaining show that'll keep you company while you work on your own personal art projects. This is Joshua Kemble's Art Stream. All right, welcome to episode 329 of my live stream. If you guys haven't yet, or aren't familiar, I guess I do the whole bit at the intro, but I've been taking a little bit of substitute teaching work, and I did my first gig today, and it was actually went pretty well. So I took a nap when I got home and then played a game for a second. And now I'm going to sit down and do my roughs. So I survived to tell the tale. We'll see how it goes. But I'm actually pretty excited about this upcoming page. So what we're going to be working on today is Not Death But Love, the Strange Supernatural Story of Elizabeth Barrett Browning for Turner Publishing, which is written by Lavender Vroman. And I think this page, we're going to be roughing out page 89, or as much of it as we can before 1 a.m. Then 1 a.m. is a hard out. I got to be done by then. If you guys are watching this, feel free to comment in the chats and stuff like that. Thomas said naps are awesome. Yes. And I will tell you, respect to high school teachers, man, like that schedule is exhausting. It's quick. It goes real fast. It was like a short day, which wasn't a bad way to do it, like a flex day or whatever. But it's very exhausting. So Philip was saying, Josh, so late. I know. What time is it for you? Sorry, it's going to be going. This won't be a really long stream. So if you want to bear with me for like an hour, where I could keep you company as you fall asleep. So I'll probably be doing more kind of night gang streams. I'm hoping to do some day ones once my schedule fully adjusts as well. So, okay. So let's go ahead and just skip all the silliness and let's get to the drawing. So here is my blank page for page 89. Philip said it's almost 3. That's crazy. That's crazy, Philip. How is everything going for you in Canada? How's the weather been? I'd imagine, is it starting to get a little chilly? I don't know if you guys get, like, I don't know when it exactly starts, like, snowing, in my head, as you know, Philip, Canada is just buried in an iceberg. And there's polar bears. Like, your next door neighbors are polar bears. And there's igloos everywhere. That's my view of it. I'm kidding, by the way. I don't think. Yeah. Okay. So in a dimly lit, so this is a page 89, and it's the part of the text that we're going to be working on. So to set the stage, so far in the story, we've had. Well, I don't want to recap the whole thing. We'll just recap the last page. So Robert Browning had Sophie over. And Sophie is somebody that they met at a party, like a kind of writer's soiree kind of thing. And Sophie is intrigued by Mr. Home, who is Daniel Douglas Home, who's the magician who was introduced at the beginning of the story. And he's not really a magician. He calls himself like a, well, I don't even know if he has a term for it, but he's like a spiritualist or like a seance guy. And so we were introduced to him at a seance where and then later we found out that Robert does not like this guy because he thinks the guy's a charlatan and he thinks he's preying on Elizabeth's weakness because Elizabeth is trying to reach out to her brother who passed away. So now on this page, so on the last page, they had so Home and Robert are not on good terms. Like they've had like a face off that didn't go well, and so Robert's kind of banned even the discussion of Daniel in their house in Casa Gaidi. And so that Sophia and Elizabeth were talking about Home kind of secretly and bonding. And Sophie basically says, "Hey, I'll tell you what happens when I go to Home, because she's gonna go do another seance." And so now this is the page we're going to be roughing out. So one is, in a dimly lit salon, a group of guests sit holding hands around a circular table draped in a cloth that reaches to the floor. They include Sophie, wearing her white rose, and David. Presiding over the gathering is Home, eyes shut in concentration. Floor-to-ceiling windows have been flung open to let in the warm night air. The room also contains a small fireplace, not currently lit, with a sofa in front of it. So that's an establishing shot. And then it's going to have a caption that says Reimers via Villa Florence. And then it's Home saying, "I sense several spirits are present." And then the table tilts. So we've seen this, like same kind of shenanigans. Philip said it was starting to get cold, but we're getting a bit of an odd warm streak right now. Nice. Okay, so there's three things that I see here. One, in the script, it doesn't have the establishing shot of the Reimers villa. And I actually want to have, so for that, I'm going to actually add that to the script. It's going to be exterior of the Reimer, or sorry, is it the Reimers? Yeah, it is the Reimers villa. With caption. So for anybody who's not familiar, what I do when I start a page, especially when I'm working from a script, is if it's not in the script, I take the script and kind of break it down into like what panels we're going to be showing. These are going to be big panels, by the way. Okay, the next one's going to be, let me see if there's more people mentioned, because they kind of mention it. I like it. Okay. This actually sounds really fun. Okay, so Philip said, "I was at the cinema tonight and just saw A Haunting in Venice, and it made me think of the comic you're working on." Awesome. Does it have to do with seances? Okay, so number 2 is going to be, let's do like a interior shot. I'm going to just say big. We'll kind of figure out what angle with, and then it's going to have table, Sophie and David and Home, possibly extras. This is just my notes for what I'm going to thumbnail. And then we're going to have windows, open drapes, and they're open. Open windows with. Okay, and then it's gonna have a fireplace and sofa. I love it. Oh, Philip said it's a Hercule Poirot mystery based on an Agatha Christie short story. It did have to do with the seance. Nice. And then isn't that the Poirot with Kenneth Branagh? I haven't actually watched his Poirot. I was so in love with David Suchet's Poirot that it's kind of like the Jeremy Brett thing, where it's like I can't view, no matter how good people are at playing Sherlock Holmes, just nobody's ever going to do. At least I haven't seen anyone who comes close to Jeremy Brett's performance. And similarly, like I just can't imagine anyone playing Poirot but David Suchet. I know they have and stuff, but it's that. And I love Kenneth Branagh. Like I think he's an amazing actor. His Hamlet, save for Jack Lemmon, who's usually great but not meant for Shakespeare, is really amazing. And I like Branagh, so yeah. Philip said it's the third film, yeah, and I haven't even brought myself to watch the first. Is it good? And did you watch the David Suchet series, the TV series? It's so good if you haven't. I'm sure you probably have. Okay, so we have now it's got, and then this is going to have the text. So that's going to be home speaking. And then 3 is going to be the table tilt startled guests. Okay, so I have all my ducks in a row. Like part of why I started late was getting all my references and stuff in a row for all the characters and stuff like that. So, okay, that's our list. We're good to rock and roll. Now what we're going to do is move forward and start thumbnailing. So the Reimer's Villa is this. It actually exists. And so, and I actually don't even mind that angle. I think maybe we'll make it a little spooky. So, but we can kind of keep that in mind as we do our rough. So I'm going to call this thumb. So we'll start with the thumbnail, and then we'll go from the thumbnail to making a rough. So the thumbnail is just nice and loose. So the thumbnail, I think this page is going to be really fascinating. Maybe we'll work over here. I think we're going to do a nice wide shot of the villa. It's kind of like it's an interesting, I almost want it to be like framed. Maybe it takes up half. No, because we want it to be a wide shot because that's going to leave more possibilities for other things. So that's going to be the villa. And again, we can kind of get into this a little more as it comes, but it seems like there's like a fountain kind of thing. Let's see, it's 3 high. Okay. And then I like the idea of maybe we maybe I'll have, we're going to just kind of ignore those borders right now. So maybe I'll have the gates. I like the idea of a cool Victorian gate kind of in the foreground. And then we'll kind of move our way through it. And just kind of sketch this out real quick. But like, again, leaving some room because it's obviously just going to be just a thumbnail. do. And then there's kind of a gridded thing here. Yeah, so it was interesting, man. It was interesting being on a high school campus. You forget how like young you were in high school, you know. It's like, you know, they're kids. All right. So then we're going to have this. We'll have kind of our little thing here. I like the idea of kind of getting this sort of worked out. Again, we're just kind of roughly working it in there. Do. And the nice thing is we'll have this little basis to kind of do our other stuff from. So then there's like 2 stories here. 2 stories, guys. How many stories? The best stories. So if you guys are watching this and you haven't yet, I ask that you hit the like button. That would be cool. It takes 2 seconds, and it's really helped the visibility of this channel. So, oh, nice. Philip was saying I have, but it's been a while in regards to David Suchet, and he said, but I remember watching the Peter Ustinov movies as well. Yeah, I think I did watch those too. I feel like he didn't quite nail it as well as Suchet. I feel like Suchet, which is like such a kind of pretentious sounding name. My name is David Suchet. But I believe that's his name, the Hercule Poirot. All right. So that's going to be the gate, and then we'll have like a little fence thing here. So this will be like the fence. I want it to actually be shut. And I like these creepy statues. It might be cool to do it from an angle where you kind of see the statues, but I think we'll just chill with what we got here. There is definitely like a kind of thing here, and then we've got maybe we'll, because it's nighttime, so this could take up 2/3. That would actually be a lot more appealing. And then we'll have like a low sky with the moon just barely over it, and then we can do again like our mystery. Well, actually, let's not do the mystery yet. I was gonna do like our mystery mysterious silhouettes, but we're not going to do that yet. And then we'll have some of this cool stuff, and then we can take this and kind of bring it out here. And I like that. Okay, so then we'll do our like our kind of trees. And maybe just for fun, right? Maybe we can add like an owl or something. Okay, and then I think that'll do, and then we can have this all kind of here. That'll be our thumbnail for the like first panel, and then it's going to have a type that kind of does a thing. I'm really like very articulate today. It's going to have type that does the thing, but it'll have like a thing that says, you know, the Reimer's residence or whatever. So, boom, done and done. Okay, so that's going to be the thumbnail for number 1. Yeah, Philip was saying Suchet was definitely the best representation, but Ustinov was a bit more lighthearted. Yeah, I agree. I mean, as much as I can. Okay, so now we're going to have our other references that I'm going to pull up. And we're going to do those. This is just get a vibe of like the house. So I found a window that I thought would work really well. I'm trying to kind of, obviously keep in mind like the people who are going to be there. So this will be inside. This will be another wide shot. Boom. And let's see what we can do here. So I like the idea of home is going to be shutting his eyes in concentration. So let's start with home. Home's a funny character too. So we're going to have home kind of shutting his eyes in concentration. He has like he has wild hair too. And then we'll have his kind of wacky hair here. I don't know why I draw the panel borders before I've drawn these things, because I know I'm going to probably end up just shrinking it down. Because I like to be able to just kind of freely, doodle it. So this is going to be home. He's going to be sitting in avid concentration. I think like his hands should be kind of like almost in prayer, but like fingers, There we go. And then we'll have, I think I'm drawing this a little too tight for a thumb, but whatever. So we're going to have him sitting here at the table. Same thing, kind of sitting here at the table. I think he looks his eyebrows are too high. So we're going to make it more like he's deep in concentration. And here he's going to be speaking. So, okay, so there we go. He's at the table. We're going to do that kind of wide table, so we'll figure that out in a second. We know that okay, we know that we're going to have Sophia, or Sophie. Sophie's going to be here. Is she sitting next to him? That would be a good question. Okay, so we're going to have Sophie here. Sophie Eckler will be here kind of on this side. And she can have her, kind of thing or whatever, her rose. And then we'll have her in her kind of outfit with her shawl. And I think I like the idea of her hands on the table, but like kind of together, you know, like she's folding her hands almost. All right, so there's Sophie. And we'll make her a little smaller. This is kind of a wider shot. We'll have, I'm just going to get rid of this panel border. Philip said, I'm afraid I have to hit the sack. Understandable, man. If it's like 3 a.m, you got to do what you got to do, you know? Okay, so we're going to draw, David now. Where's David? Okay, cool. I knew I had a David reference. Okay, so let's get David over here. I like the idea of him kind of sitting by Sophie, maybe. Okay. And this is good. This is on a different layer, which is great. So let's save. And again, we may not get done with the rough entirely today. We're just going to go and get as much as done as we can by 1 a.m. So, okay. So now we're going to do, basically David. So David's going to be here. He has this very prominent kind of nose that's going to happen. And he's looking over to home or whatever. So okay, so now we're going to do our David's also got like these chops that are kind of ridiculous. And he has kind of wild hair. I want him looking more at, there we go, more at home. And he's going to have his thing going here. And we're going to actually very much reduce the size of him as well. Because I want it to be kind of like a wider shot. So, and we can have him overlapping Sophie just a little bit. Cool. Let's have him like here. Okay. And then we'll have his like thing going here. Okay, and then can definitely have him hands a little less strangely situated there. Let's have it more like there we go. Cool. And then we're gonna have we'll have some random kind of guests seated as well. So I like the idea of, and then maybe we have some other people on the other side, just some Victorian people. Do I have random Victorian. Yes. I have some Victorian gents. That'll help. It's always nice to have reference that you've already looked up. So here's some Victorian gents. I think I can. So we have Sophie drawn. We have Home drawn. We have David drawn. So we can kind of move those out of the way. We don't really need to see the previous page. So, okay. And now we're going to go ahead and put this here. And we'll draw some side characters. Okay. So some Victorian side characters. So maybe there will be a gentleman here. Shouldn't draw a hat first. I should draw the person's head through the hat first. Because inevitably you're going to draw your hat wrong. Yep. Head through the hat. It's good that Philip took off before seeing that horrible art mistake there that I was making. He would have been like, what are you doing? Draw a head through a hat. And maybe this guy will have maybe he'll have like a curly mustache or something. And this guy will be, actually I like him having, maybe he needs no mustache because we already have 2 mustaches here. And then we're going to have this guy kind of leaning forward with his thing. And he's going to have that sort of there. I think we'll have his arm kind of situated to the side. And then we'll have, we'll be adding in chairs in a second as well. So now we'll add the hat that kind of goes around. Okay. And I like the idea of this kind of being more kind of in proportion. And then I think we'll have a lady here. Maybe it'll be an older lady because he tends to like scam older people. So it's a very strange looking person here. I don't know if I like that. That almost looks like I'm being way too precious for a thumbnail. That kind of looked like Yoda for a second there. Okay, let's see here. Let's just do like a nice old lady or something. I just don't think they'd have like the curly kind of old person afro back then. So I think they'd have probably like long hair, but I want it to be straight so people don't think like now we're looking at Elizabeth or anything. And I like the idea of this being kind of There we go. Okay. And we're going to have this be lady, and she's going to have kind of like one of those wilder sort of Victorian things going here. With frilly. Okay. So that's roughly what we're going to do for this. And then we have, is she too large? Maybe she's too large. Okay, so then we're going to have chairs, and I'm going to look at this chair as like a template. So we're going to have our chairs kind of here. And we'll just get the chair backs or whatever, and then we'll kind of establish the room in a second. So I don't think that chair back's going to go back that far. And then similarly, a chair here, and definite chair back here. Okay, so now I'm going to decrease this quite a bit. I like the idea of it being a wide shot, but I want it to really frame the room. So now what we're going to do is have this be the table. So the table is going to be just rough out some kind of crap perspective here. Okay. So the table is going to be here. Boop. And then it's going to have, okay. And then we're going to go ahead and turn off this because we don't need it anymore. And we'll just kind of establish the scene. So I like the idea of this being, you know, kind of that table. And then we're going to have our couch here. Kind of couch in the background. That'll be this. Just sketch it in real quick. Okay. And then we'll have our fireplace. I like the idea of the fireplace almost framing him. That would be cool. So this will be that fireplace, and this will have, you know, some ephemera on it. And then we'll have we'll kind of put it in this setting, which will be fun to turn around later. But right now we're not worried about later. And we're going to have wide open windows. So the windows are going to be shuttered windows that are wide open out into the night sky. This is a thumb. So then I do like this chandelier quite a bit. So we're going to have our chandelier here. Because yeah, I want to do the chandelier business. Okay, and then we're going to do our Victorian era type sort of stuff here. So it's going to have molding on the walls. And then let's see. Okay. And then I think we're good. I think that'll actually do it for this panel closely, almost. Let's have like a vaulted, I don't know if that's called a vaulted ceiling where there's like, I don't think that is a vaulted ceiling. I don't actually know what a vaulted ceiling is. I've heard that term and I've never, I actually don't know what that is. And maybe this can be like a nice, creepy portrait of Sophie. I actually like that idea. So maybe it's like a portrait of her, all creepy like. And then we'll have our floor here. It'll have a carpet. Carpet's going to have like filigree stuff on it. And I think that'll do it. So there's our panel 2 thumbnail. I am being way too tight for a thumb, but that's okay. And then this is actually going to have text, and the text is going to be Robert saying, Robert's going to be saying, or not Robert.
Hi, my name is Phil Chandler. I'm a freelance artist, illustrator, and cartoonist. Today, though, however, I want to tell you about a graphic novel I picked up recently called Jacob's Apartment. This book was both written and beautifully illustrated by Joshua Kemble. It is the story of a doomed romance that causes the main character to question his beliefs and his faith, while he's also going through other tragedies in his life. Every page has been illustrated by hand and digitally colored with painstaking detail. It is an emotional story that causes you to think and even question things in your own life. And while the story is a tragedy, it is one that I was completely entertained by and I highly recommend. You can currently find this on Amazon or even check in with your local bookstore and see if you can order it. And while you're at it, you can also check out my Instagram at Phil Chandler Arts and also my YouTube channel by the same name, Phil Chandler Arts. And go buy Jacob's Apartment.
Okay, sorry about that. So I think that we are back. I think the connection got fixed. So okay, let me actually. It is kind of perfect because we're at about the hour mark. So we're gonna play a trailer. I do like that one, but we're gonna play Jim Luhan's "Kids Say Cremble," and then I'll be right back.
You know, George, you can't say the craziest thing.
So, little Susie, do you have any brothers or sisters? I understand you're in 3rd grade. How do you like that? Do you like your teacher? You like to do a lot of fun things at school? You got any hobbies, Susie? Any things you like to do when you're not in school? I hear you like to read.
Well, right now I'm reading 2 stories written and illustrated by Joshua Kemble. It grapples with faith and mental illness. It's ultimately a story about redemption. It's a savage piece of writing. Also, I just finished up Jacob's Apartment, another one by Kemble. Jacob's Apartment weaves together elements of spiritualism and relationship dynamics, as well as atheism, and all the while it deals with abandonment and loyalty. It's a fierce, fierce read.
Do you like ponies?
Let me know if you guys are having weird connection issues. I literally disconnected for a bit and then reconnected, and like everything seems good on my end. But let me know if you're watching and it's not coming through. So we're gonna do our last bit for this, which is And here, maybe this can actually, it's just going to be a lot better if it's a little shorter. Okay, so now we're going to do our next, which is going to be the table tilts. And let's go back to page 89. And he's also supposed to be saying, I sense several spirits are present. So he's going to say that here. Something like that. So I like the idea that here maybe he's saying something like blah, blah, blah. I sense, again, this is a thumb, so we can get tighter for the rough. And then here is going to be the table tilts and startles the guests. So this will be maybe a wider shot. But I definitely want to have that tilting quite a bit. And that's going to be here. And then maybe we'll have home kind of sitting here. Actually, we want to make it clear that it's tilting. So maybe we have home. Home will be here. Kind of like, haha, his arms raised. It's like a little arms out gesturing, and he's got his chair. Okay, and then we'll have this guy looking like, what the heck? Hold on. So he's going to be like big eyes. Again, this is a thumbnail, so I don't need to be as crazy as the previous. So this is him like real startled. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I like the idea of it being okay. Maybe his hands are up like, what the heck? Hands out. Okay. Hands out. Like, oh my goodness. Sir, you dare with the table. And then he'll have his chair here, and his chair is going to be situated here. And then we'll have Sophie here, Sophie Eckler. Here, kind of startled. It's her hair. Hands up as well. And what's she going to be doing? Okay, she's got her kind of thing here. So then we've got in her chair, and then we're going to have the old lady. Okay, the old lady will be here. And she's going to have her hands up like, oh my goodness. Okay, and then she was going to have that kind of thing. We'll have her... I feel like she's too short now. So we'll have to adjust that. Very easy fix. Yeah, that actually works better. Because that kind of makes it more clear that, hey, the table, it's tilting. Okay. So then that'll be that. And then we'll have our gentleman with his hat. Maybe he's so startled that his hat is tipped up. So he has like this kind of foofy hair. But his hat will literally be coming off his head. And again, he'll have his hand up too, like, wow. Okay, cool. So that's going to be that. I think home will be much wider than that. I think I drew him a little too small. His hair is much more kind of crazy. And then he's going to have like a little more volume to him. Okay. And then we're going to have our environment. I might actually increase this a little bit, but our environment is going to be, we have our fireplace. There's, the fireplace basically goes to here, where we have kind of our wider part of the room. And we're just going to kind of have our sections of stuff here. And this will be the portrait. Doing kind of a wider shot here. This is going to be the carpet. Maybe the carpet can be there. With all the Victorian business. And then I feel like this should actually be more like this. Okay. And then we're going to have our, again, this is really sloppy, but it's like, it's a thumbnail. So, okay. So then we're going to have our couch here. I like the idea of the couch is almost now kind of here. And it is. And then we have our kind of window. Open window. It was open here. Open here. And then we're going to have our chandelier. Which is much smaller than that. And that can be this panel. So it can be I like the idea of it being maybe this can be more cut in. I actually kind of like it with a little bit more space, just to kind of keep that rule of thirds going. Maybe a little bit less. That actually works. Okay, so then we're going to get rid of this fake border thing. And then we'll kind of call this our thumbnail. Okay. So this will be our blue line, and we'll get everything set up, but I'm guessing that we're going to have to finish this rough tomorrow. And that's okay. Actually, a lot of the work is here in the rough, so that's kind of great in the thumbnail. So I am going to kind of condense this a little bit. There's a couple things I can do. One is you can have the top of the gate rather than we can kind of trim this out a little bit. So we'll do that. Let me merge down. So let's trim out. I don't know if I like trimming that out. Maybe we can trim out some of this. Okay, and then we'll, I think, just shrink it all. So some distortion, because again, this is just a thumb. I actually really dig that. Okay, so there's our thumbnail. We'll save it, and now we're going to get to taking our thumb and adding borders. So the first thing I do is I'm going to go ahead and blue line my thumbs. So I'm going to make them cyan. Let's see here. I don't want to do... Okay. I didn't want that. I wanted full cyan. None of this magenta yellow mix in there. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and increase that to fill the page. It's our rough. We have a lovely little rough here. And I'm going to turn off the list, and then we're going to do at least our borders, and then we'll be all set to go tomorrow, which is pretty exciting. So, okay. So now we're going to go ahead and go in with our borders. And I know that I wanted to have this significantly taller at the top. So we're going to move this down. There we go. I actually kind of like that because that kind of goes big to okay. So that goes big to medium to small. And then we're going to get back to our black and at least get our panel borders in there. And then we can clean up our blue lines just a little bit and draw our rough over it. We got a good 15 minutes left till I have to call it on the stream. Thanks to everybody, by the way, who's watched this. And if you haven't yet, please hit that like button. I appreciate it. It is helpful. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and then size it kind of to fit. So let's get this like more size to fit. And I think that'll work. So that's pretty good. Let's do that. Okay. And then we're going to take our next one and size that to fit here and here. So we have this like lovely little template to kind of build our roughs over. And luckily I kind of went a little further. Like I was in a nice loose drawing mood today. So a lot of the rough is already done. It's just about cleaning it up. Which is great. You really want that kind of scenario going on. It's also going to be a nice atmospheric, very moody room. Okay. So there we go. And let's just start doing it. Get as much done in 15 minutes as possible. Okay, so this is going to say Reimer's Villa. So, okay. I'll call this rough. Okay. And we'll just start primers. And we're just going to indicate that this will be in the text that we've been using. We've been using this kind of sans serif or serif font on this. This will be okay, so very, very loose here, but that's okay. That's what we're doing. So we'll put this here. And actually, that kind of works because it almost like frames the top of it. So then this is going to have that kind of scroll. That kind of goes wildly out. This is, I believe, cool. We have that. And now we can get our house again. The reference for the house. Where was that? Primers. Okay, and let's just knock out a rough. At least we can get some of this, you know. And then we're just going to have some of this business here. And again, we're just roughing it out. So this is just a rough for the client, you know, and for me. And let's do our and again, just kind of roughing it out. And we'll have our kind of brickwork here. and our brickwork here. I like this like crazy entryway thing. That's pretty rad. And then and again, this is a rough, but it's like, hopefully you guys can see how it can kind of get better and better, like the longer you kind of do it. Okay. And then this will be that kind of section. This will be that brick section. How are we doing? We got 10 minutes. Maybe we can at least finish the first frame. We'll see. Okay, so this is going to be the that kind of boxy business here. Boxy business here. Boxy business here. Boxy business here. Doing a lot of talking to myself while working. It's always fun. And now for the final, I'll rule all this out, you know. But this at least gives us a rough idea and gives the client, in this case, the publisher, a rougher idea of kind of what it's going to look like. Okay, and that's going to be this. This will go down here. This will go down here. And I like these bricks, so I want to do bricks. Bricks. And then we'll start adding our other stuff, which I'll do on top of it. So I like the idea of these kind of statues, so we'll just do one of them. It's going to be like standing on a thing, and then that'll be here. Maybe we'll widen those out because that is a little more fun to have those in like the foreground. Actually, it's funny, I was gonna just draw it over there, but then I'm like, that actually spaces it out quite nicely. So let's do that. Okay. So we'll do our drawing here of this kind of thing. And that can have a cool kind of thing going. And then we can have our, there's like a really interesting sort of thing going there. Okay. I actually like that a lot. And then maybe we'll rotate it and change the statue to... I was going to have like a little... like an owl or something, but I think I actually like this more because it's like almost like the gates are covering it. If I could see through those things, I would imagine this is going to be very similar. But it's probably going to have, I think the base area will have this kind of thingamabob. Which I believe is the actual term for it. Okay, and then there's kind of like what looks like a fountain. So there's going to be a fountain kind of here, but we're sort of seeing it from the top. So I'm just going to kind of imagine seeing a bit more of the top of the fountain here. And I think this has like, strangely, like it's almost like a bathtub. I'm imagining that'll be water in there. And then this would be raised, maybe? But then there's some bushes that are kind of surrounding it. So we'll sort of draw the bushes. And then I like the idea of, I think these are trees. So we're going to have some trees here. And they're very much like a variety of tree shapes or something. But actually, we don't want to have them too obscured. So this will be just some trees. There's definitely some trees here. Some trees here, framing it. And then correct the frame a little bit. And I like the idea of continuing those trees to where they kind of become like the foliage on the outside. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to have the moon here with some wispy clouds. That was a little too connected. Wispy clouds. Okay. Now we have our most of our environment, but I want to add that gate. So let's check that out. And then we have 3 minutes. So I think we'll be able to finish this last bit of the rough if I can find it. Okay. So I believe we're still connected. Okay, cool. So I'm going to do as quick as I can. Let's knock this out. So we're going to have our fence, and it's going to kind of go. Why isn't this drawing? Okay, interesting. Okay, fence. The fence is going to go here. So there's like a bit here where it kind of creates like a little thing, and then there's going to be, you know, parts to the gate or whatever. And then I'm going to draw one side of the gate, and then we'll kind of move from there. So then there's like a tall part to the gate, and I believe that actually goes up, like so. And that'll be here. That's what we'll do for now. So then that's going to kind of create a bit of a gate post or gate entryway. And we'll do our little things here that are at the top of these posts. And now we can copy this and then I believe that'll be about parallel, which is great. And then we can do our gate stretching across, which I think works quite nicely. Okay. So now I'm going to save this And then I think maybe we can shade it real quick before we call it a night. So I'm going to just do shading. This is going to be a dark night, so the sky should probably be the darkest part. And we'll just go ahead and get rid of the part with the rhymers name drop thing. And then we can have our like trees, put it in the distance. Trees in the distance. And then we're going to have our moonlit building. Then, to cap it off, we'll have it get real dark on the edges. And that's going to be fine for a rough. We'll finish the rest of this rough tomorrow, but that's the first panel, and then the rest we'll kind of work out on the live stream tomorrow if I'm able to. So if you guys haven't yet, hit like so that more people can find this channel and stuff, especially if you found it fun or entertaining or insightful or helpful. And make sure you've hit that bell so you get notifications when we're about to go live. I'll go ahead and center this out so you guys can kind of see. Let me see if I can. So that's the first, and then I'll show you the, we have our, so that's the first one, right? And then we have our roughs, that will be finished and completed tomorrow. So thanks to everybody who's watched. I will see you on the next live stream. And again, I very much appreciate you guys. I don't know why that. Okay, I didn't want to save that page, but okay. Okay, let's make sure something weird happened with the saving. Let's make sure we have. Okay, we're good. Okay. Thanks to everybody, and I will see you tomorrow. And thanks for tuning in and keeping me company while I work on comics. We'll finish up this rough tomorrow. Bye.